Welcome back to another episode of Success EQ Coffee Hours, a podcast where we dive into the ins and outs of customer success. I'm your host, Kritika, and today we have a really exciting episode lined up for you. We are going to talk about how to streamline customer success processes without having a dedicated tool, and how we can use existing tools in the company's ecosystem for the most efficient, for making your team most efficient. And to help us today with this topic, I'm thrilled to have Vipul with me. He is heading customer success for GTM Buddy these days and has tremendous amounts of experience in running high-performing CS team for many organizations. So Vipul, welcome to the show. I'm really excited to have you today.
Thank you for having me, Kritika. Really excited to be here on the show.
Yeah, so before we dive into our topic, why don't you tell our listeners a bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. So I'm Vipul. I have more than a decade of experience in customer success. I was lucky enough to work with some great leaders and CEOs directly to kind of develop the customer success team from the scratch and provide our customers with the values that they were looking for. In this, I was also collaborating with different teams, collaborating with different challenges. So that is something that I've learned over a period of time. I've seen some different types of journeys of 0 to 1, journeys from 1 to 10 and 10 and beyond. So it gives me an interesting perspective about how to manage customer success at different organizations in terms of, what are the strategies that you can leverage when you're in a 0 to 1 journey and what strategies should you leverage when you're in the journey beyond. So let's discuss with the strategies that you want to kind of talk about, Kritika.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just dive right in. Um, you mentioned that you have got wealth of experience setting up CS team for so many startups, and we know that startups usually don't have budget to invest into fancy tools right off the bat, right? So, what are some key challenges that you're seeing small companies face when they manage customer success teams without a dedicated, sophisticated tool or a CSP?
Sure. So when you talk about the challenges, the primary challenges a CS leader would face would be around data collection, which is time consuming. You have different tools to measure different things, right? Like you would have mixed panel, or you would have some Excel sheet where you would have different information about customers, and some systems would be inbuilt as well. So collecting that data for all your customers, maybe for an account review, a weekly or a monthly account review, becomes a task. That's one big challenge that I've seen. So running an account review without a CSP is kind of time consuming. Secondly, from a scoring perspective as well, when you're you have a CHS, which is the customer health score, managing it for multiple customers without a CSP can be a very big challenge, right? You're going to do this in Excel. Sometimes because of human error, you would be calculating it wrong. It just becomes time consuming and tedious, to be honest. Second would be, from an understanding of trends that, hey, this customer is a high adopter, why he is behaving that ways, to comparing it to a customer who's a low adopter. What are the trends? So trend spotting becomes difficult without having, customer success platforms. And the last and the most challenging one is data remains in silos. So that becomes a very big challenge if you do not have CSPs, but those can be, you can work around them and get to a point where you are able to at least get some idea and put a method to the madness that you're kind of managing in 0 to 1 journey specifically.
Yeah, yeah. All these four challenges make a lot of sense, and I've seen it happening in my career as well at different organizations at different levels. So let's talk about structuring and organizing these problems uh, for a customer success team to ensure that we have a high performing customer success team who is able to deliver value to our customers. So, what are the strategies that you have found effective? What are the processes that you usually implement to tackle some of these challenges without a dedicated tool?
Yeah. So in the way you can tackle these challenges, first of all, is what is the existing tooling that you have, and how you can leverage them to the maximum extent is something that a CS leader should understand. Normally, when you have a basic tooling that I have seen across all the organization is a mixed panel, some internal tooling to understand whether a customer is logging in or not, Excel sheets and customer support requests, tickets, and all of that, right? So normally how you start with is getting a value map for your customer base. That means what is at a very high level, you start with a value map that, hey, these are the 4 values that we deliver to our customers. And out of these 4 values, you can measure each and every customer, what values have been delivered, right? Then you can create different dashboards on these tools. So we at GTM Buddy use Mixpanel. And we have created different dashboards for our customer success team as well as the leadership, which gives us a quick snapshot of where each and every customer is, right? Basis that snapshot, we already know that, hey, this particular customer is low adopter. Do we have an understanding why the adoption has dropped, right? So we kind of track all the adoption data on Mixpanel, and we try to get the high level numbers, which is adoption percentages, onto an Excel sheet, right? Apart from Mixpanel, we also have something called as ClickUp, which is our project management tool, where we can have each and every customer mapped out to the CSM with all the necessary information that we want to kind of track for every customer. So it helps us in terms of 2 ways. One, to kind of review at each and every account review, we kind of go through each and every customer just from a sheet perspective that, hey, this is the percentage adoption. This is how we have moved from last month to this month, and then track the health of the stakeholders. So when have we engaged last? When was the last QBR? When is the renewal coming up? Are there any signs that the CSM is seeing in terms of churn? So all of that is kind of kept track, and all of this data then flows into an Excel sheet, which is shared with the leadership, which talks about how our customer base is doing right now, where are we seeing results, where we can improve, and where we are seeing some churn risks. And then we kind of, in an account review, we normally flag. So when you don't have a CSP tool, normally there are 2 things. You look at product adoption, you look at value, which is delivered to the customer, you try tracking that. And then you kind of also, think about from a CS perspective, right? Having a relationship strength check, which is a CSM telling that, hey, this account is strong because I have relationship built with multiple stakeholders, and what is the depth of the implementation. So at last, the CSM's gut is also a very important metric to kind of track, so that you can manage the without a CSP tool.
Yeah, a lot of quite interesting point actually you have mentioned. You have covered the health aspect, relationship aspect, probably, by adding some sort of health score. And but I want to understand, like, is there any way in these existing tool to implement, probably to automate things as well, to make CSM's life a bit easier? Um, what are some places, because there are so many different applications that
Yeah,
these people are using. I want to ask about automation, and I also want to ask about about churn. You didn't mention churn, so how are we ensuring that we are getting probably those early indicators for churn? How are we managing churn with existing tools at GTM Buddy?
got it. So we are kind of running an initiative right now, which helps us integrating Looker into our mixed panel dashboard. So we're basically pulling in the information from different tools in a CSV format and putting it into a Looker dashboard, which will allow us to kind of have a quick overview of each and every customer just by kind of a few clicks. With just a few clicks, you will get that insights, right? So that's something that we're kind of thinking about. When we talk about churn, right? there are two types of churn. One is an avoidable churn, and second is unavoidable churn. When it is unavoidable churn, you can't do much about it. But when you look at, say, early signs of churn, right, you see sudden drop in adoption. And if you are kind of in an account review and you ask your CSM that, hey, why do you think that this particular account has a significant drop in adoption? Now, if the CSM doesn't have an idea, that means it's a flag for a CS leader saying that, hey, this person doesn't have an idea. Let's dig deeper into this. So you try to
Okay.
understand what has happened, right? Is there a stakeholder change? That's a very big flag for us. If there is a stakeholder which has moved out of the organization, we try to kind of map it to another stakeholder. That is very critical. A drop in adoption is very critical. Is the company doing well from a revenue perspective these days? The phase that we are going in, a lot of churn is happening without even customer success knowing why it is happening. The reason
Right.
being the economic environment. A lot of tech purchase happened in the past few years. Now it is coming back to normal where people are trying to be more efficient and effective with their tools as well. So a lot of these things are being seen in the market, and that's why you have to be on your toes when you're kind of doing this. So we kind of do a monthly meeting once on each and every account and have a discussion around what are the strategies. If for a particular account we don't have a strategy, that means we kind of look at it in a deeper way and try to understand if there is low adoption, what are the next steps that we can do, how we can kind of go back to our stakeholders, show them the value, and make sure that they renew. So that's the kind of playbook that we follow at GTM Buddy.
Got it. And all of this, it is flowing either manually or from Mixpanel and different application to an Excel. And you are tracking all of these metrics in one Excel, or is it in multiple
It's
Excel or places?
multiple Excels. So, but primarily, I think Mixpanel is a great tool. That's where we start our journey from. And just by getting into Mixpanel, we're able to get a lot of insights. So we don't have to go deeper and deeper. So just with Mixpanel, we're able to kind of address most of the challenges right now.
Got it. What are some of the other tools? How about CRM? Do you guys use CRM for customer success tool as for customer success team as well, or I remember we used to use Slack very diligently, CRM, during that initial 0 to 1, 0 to 10 stage.
Yeah. We use quite a lot of tools, to be honest. So for adoption, it's Mixpanel. For project management, it's ClickUp. We manage our customers on Slack. So we use a tool called Tina.ai, which helps us managing the customers on Slack. We also use a tool called Train to help onboard our end users onto the platform. So you can generate AI videos through it. That's a very good tool that we have been using a lot. And apart from that, we also use GTM Buddy for customer success. So we deliver our own content through GTM Buddy to our end users as well. So this is the tech stack that we use at Go-to-Market Buddy.
So no CRM for CS team.
CRM is HubSpot.
Okay, so got it. But what kind of processes usually you have set up on CRM, let's say? Like where do it fit?
Yeah. So general processes is, what is the customer? What are the contact details? What are the kind of, modules that they are using? And that's generally what we kind of leverage CRM for, and possibly the customer lifecycle stage. There's one other tool that we use a lot in customer success team is Avoma, specifically for call recording. So a customer request, right? So we are able to quickly go back to the recording, select the transcript, and create a ticket directly from, Avoma itself. And that becomes like a voice of customer for us to share it with the engineering and product team. So that helps us a lot in cross-team collaboration.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good process also. Why I was asking you specifically about CRM is because, that was I remember and this was like 8 years back also, but CRM was like a must tool that a company will have because they'll have a sales team, right? So a lot of times CS team also end up using CRM to manage their customers, and that is one basic tool that every small to a startup will have. That's why I wanted to know like what all things you have done on CRM, how we can use it most efficiently from customer success
Yep.
team perspective.
So, uh,
Because usually these CRMs are not designed
yep,
for
yep,
customer
yep.
success
You
team.
have to customize these CRMs for customer success as well. Just like in sales, you have a sales pipeline. You need to define and work with your revenue operation leaders to define a pipeline for customer success as well. So once a particular account has become your customer, what are the stages that they will go through? It's the onboarding stage, the implementation, onboarding, maybe the recurring meetings from value reviews, and then the renewal cycle. So probably you can kind of define that. A lot of companies just focus on the sales perspective, because CRMs were naturally built for sales teams, right? And CSMs
Right.
primarily leverage the CSP tools, which is again Saito Tango or a Churn Zero, to manage the life cycle stages because they can kind of have it set up in their own ways, right? So that's the that's generally what we have seen, but definitely you can customize your CRM to make sure that there are some parts of your customer journey which are mapped out in a CRM, which can be leveraged by the leadership team to understand where each and every customer stands in the journey.
Got it. Uh, you have listed down quite a number of tools here, Vipul. So how's your team like performing on it? Like, are they getting app fatigue by switching over, by collating all of these data? And you mentioned that CSP solve silo problem. So here, I know these tools are integrated probably with each other, but do you think that you have that silo problem right now at your end?
Uh, I would not say we have a big challenge with the siloed information, but there would be some challenge with siloed information for sure. And when you ask about the tool fatigue, yes, the tool fatigue is real. You have to switch context, you have to go into different tools. So that is a challenge. But what we try to do is, because we use Slack at GTM Buddy, we try to integrate each and every tool inside GTM Buddy as well. So, like a ClickUp ticket, right? ClickUp is integrated into Slack. We have Mixpanel also integrated into Slack. So, most of the things that we want to look at, we try to integrate it inside Slack itself so that we can quickly kind of go into the tool and understand. And we have set it up in such ways that there are certain triggers, like adoption triggers, we have kind of configured in Mixpanel. So we get a weekly email notification as well. So you don't have to go into Mixpanel on a daily basis to look at it. You can get triggers based on the that you have set up. So we kind of have optimized for that, and we have one customer ops person that works with us to kind of build these dashboards on Mixpanel, and we get that data out of the system as well and try to compare it with other customers. So that actually helps us a lot.
You mentioned about so many tools, and one of the challenges that we have seen um, arising in customer success team and with so many other teams is of collaboration. Like customer success is all about collaboration. You have to talk to so many teams, and when CS team has so many different applications, how do you ensure that team is able to collaborate efficiently and there's no data duplication issues? CS team, at least my team, used to get so frustrated with that they had to update data at different places, and sometimes they don't used to do it, and that used to create collaboration challenges. So how do you ensure that all the parties are winning in here and the information is flowing where it is supposed to flow and collaboration is happening between teams?
Yeah. So I definitely would agree that collaboration is a big challenge for CS teams, and when they have to internally as well as externally collaborate. Internally, they have to be the voice of customer. Externally, they have to collaborate with the clients as well. So the primary channel, what we depend on from collaboration perspective is Slack. We have certain cadences set up with our product and engineering teams, and we have kind of codified the way you would be collaborating with them, right? What are the insights that this engineering and the product team is looking for, and in what format they want. So we have kind of given each and every CSM certain templates that, hey, when you're putting in say a customer request, this is what you need to kind of fill in so that the product team gets the context as well. All right. So we kind of do follow that particular framework. So we have kind of coordinated between different teams that, hey, this is how you will get the input. Does that meet to your expectations? That helps in kind of doing the cross collaboration as well. And the point that you talked about, right? A lot of CSMs have to go into multiple tools to update the data. That still is a challenge, to be honest. And there is no uh, tool which is solving that content duplication challenge or those challenges. So you have to have certain cadences internally as well. So before we even go out to our engineering and product team, we kind of review our customer requests and customer issues channel. So for escalations, we have different channels. For regular requests, we have different channels as well. And we have kind of externally as well to from a customer perspective, we have set up some expectations that, hey, if it is not a showstopper or a P0 priority, it will take a day's time to kind of get resolved. So we keep our customers updated, and we also keep our internal teams updated on if this can get escalated and this can snowball into a bigger thing. So we kind of make sure that happens. So that's something that we do from a collaboration perspective, and it's an iterative process. So we kind of constantly go back to engineering and product team and kind of keep asking them that, hey, how can the CS team collaborate better with you? Same is the thing with the sales and product marketing team. How can we collaborate better? Is there something which is missing that you think the CS team can add, or if there is an expectation from our side, we make sure that we kind of convey it to the different business leaders that are managing those teams. So that ways you can ease up the collaboration a bit, and the more you focus on easing up the collaboration, the smoother the operations will run while you're collaborating with different teams.
I really like the approach of taking the feedback. I feel like it's really important to keep asking about how things are happening, especially about the collaboration piece, because everyone, the whole team is kind of, the whole operation is kind of, is on that one crucial aspect of collaboration, that information is reaching, feedback is reaching to each and every one.
Yeah.
So yeah, great advice there. Let's talk about value proposition. You know, it all boils down to outcome, the value that we are going to give to our customers. Do you think that these tools, definitely the usage tool is going to play a really crucial part in delivering, getting to understand whether we are able to provide value or not? But what kind of tool helps you derive that value, and how do you approach value in this scenario, basically?
Yeah. See, when you look at CSPs, what I feel a CSP is basically getting data from different sources, understanding the trend, right? But we have not seen CSPs which are measuring the values and outcomes. You can definitely add some, but where do you see value from a customer perspective, right? If I ask you this question, generally the answer that you would get is high adoption is a value to the customer, but that's not the case. No matter how much the customer has adopted the tool, but he's not getting the outcome or the value he expected, there is always a churn risk, right? So mapping the
Right.
value from a customer's perspective is quite critical, and you have to map values at different levels. You can't just map a value at your admin or you're buying, the person who's buying the tool or the influencer. So you have to measure it across the org, right till the end user as well, right? So what we recommend, or what I would say, is kind of spend time with your customers to understand what value they are getting, right? Have some value discussions. The first thing that you can do is during your onboarding, when you're having your kickoff call, you can try to understand from them what is the first 90-day value that they're expecting. Start, asking these questions. Start kind of taking note of this somewhere and sharing it with the customer, so that when the 90 days are done, you can go back and have the next value discussion. Rather than a QBR, you can also now start having value reviews, where you basically discuss about that. Hey, in the first 90 days, we discussed these values. Now the 90-day period has changed. So the customer has adopted the tool, they've started using it. There might be a change in the value that they're expecting, because you as a CSM might be thinking that, hey, my tool solves X and we have solved the challenge. That means we have delivered the value. Now there is no problem, right? But in from a customer's perspective, the value is always going to change. So you as a CSM should have the pulse on what value is expected. You can leverage some jobs to done framework, so you can kind of map these value outs with multiple of your customers, and then you will start seeing a trend. And post that, you can always tell your customers, this is how our existing customers are getting value. And once this map is complete, I think this value map would be helpful for all across your organization as well. So maybe generating your own value maps can be a very crucial thing for a CS leader as well. So that's how I would suggest, mapping values and outcomes and measuring them on an ongoing basis would help you manage your customers' expectation in a better way.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, we talked about, value. I just want to understand, like, how are you curating that value? Like, it's so easy to say if we are giving value or providing that outcome or not. Um, we uh, we talked about that you are tracking the usage from mixed panel, but is there any other metrics also that specifically that we are tracking, which goes into that value calculation? um, how do you calculate value is what I wanted to understand a bit.
Okay, so you have the general metrics that you would calculate, which is adoption, ticket requests, and all of that. The other one is, through your emailers, right? You want to send out
Okay.
emailers to your end users to understand. It's not the NPS that we are talking about. We are talking about value, right? So, are you getting the value out of the tool? Are you using it in the right way? What are the kind of questions that you want to, so you can kind of have that value map decided per persona and generate it accordingly. So if you have multiple personas, you would have different values. So what is the jobs to be done, that person has to do, you can map value out of it. There's a very good article by Harvard which has the value triangle, which I would definitely recommend all of you guys to look at it. So you can quantify the value, either making a process very less hassle. It can be productivity, it can be effectiveness or efficiency in a particular process that you are kind of measuring. So if you're measuring those things, you would be able to measure a value. And you would generally see with certain products, just to give you an example, if you're using Thina, the product value that you would kind of come out with is better managing support, easier, hassle free managing Slack, customers on Slack. So you can do that. So that's how you will define value, which is an end outcome to the persona that you're looking for. It's a
Yeah, so it's
manual exercise, and you might have to
okay.
spend some time to kind of interview your customers multiple times, and then come back to the drawing board and then start talking about values to your customers.
Yeah, but it's as you mentioned, it's a culmination of so many things that you have kind of curated and created that system using different tools, using probably some of the manual input at your end, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Um, I also wanted to understand from you, like, when do you think is the right time for any organization to perhaps thinking about a customer success tool or a dedicated tool to help the customer success team, be it scale up, be it ease their life, help them to be more productive?
Yeah. I would say anywhere between 50 to 100 customers is, and when you're kind of say in a B2B enterprise SaaS setup, 50 to beyond 50 is an ideal time to get a tool like this. And it also depends on what is your existing stack. A lot of times, while CS leaders take the decision of purchasing CSP tools, they forget about how their existing stack will integrate with the CSP tool. So, how's your
Mm.
existing stack doing? What needs to be added? Kind of going in and doing the right research around the CSP tools can give you a good idea. Today, you have multiple tools like Chameleon, Pendo, Gainsight, Churn Zero. All of them are now integrating into one. You're seeing consolidation happening in the CS tool space as well. So definitely look at tools which will help you monitor adoption and all the metrics that you want from a leadership perspective as well as from a CSM's perspective. So if a tool is giving your CSM what are the daily activities that they need to do and they need to cover, that would be a great choice. Second, you need to also look at tools which are also providing some sort of adoption levers or hooks which are driving the
Mm.
adoption. So there are certain CSP tools which provides you with that as well. So how you can kind of build the whole process with that particular tool is something that you need to definitely look at. And also, as you scale your customer base as well as your CSMs, it becomes a necessity.
So you think, because I was just going, as you were answering, I was thinking, maybe a CS tool is not always an answer, but you mentioned that it is a kind of a necessity when you want to scale up.
Yes, definitely.
So okay. Got it. And what are some of the challenges you have seen? Because it's also implementing a CS tool is also a process. Um, in very few cases, I have seen that the adoption and implementation has gone smoothly. Um, it's a change, right? So every team is going to be hesitant. There are a lot of things that is going to move from one application to another application. Probably you have to get rid of so many processes, create new processes, right? So, what are some of the challenges you have seen in your experience so far um, arises when we go ahead and implement a customer success tool?
I would say the biggest challenge would be change management,
Mhm.
because your CSMs are used to a certain process. They're kind of doing they're mostly focused on the value for the customers that they want to deliver, right? And suddenly now you're asking them, hey, go fill in these 15 fields in the CS tool, right? Go find this data. So change management becomes a big challenge when you're implementing these tools. Also, how well you integrate and implement these tools, right? If you're connecting Mixpanel, is the implementation of Mixpanel and your CSP tool done right? How would the data come in? How would it showcase on a particular dashboard? All of that takes time. So normally, what I've seen is, you end up spending around 1 to 2 months just implementing a tool in the right way so that you at least get the right insights from a leadership perspective as well as from your CSM perspective. Once that is done, the maintenance is critical, because if you're not filling in the information on the right time, at the end of the day, it would not give you what you're looking for as an
Right.
outcome as well. So how do you manage that? So creating some certain playbooks, creating certain review sessions with your CSM and asking them, hey, have you filled in this data? I still remember during the initial days of my career, we had implemented a tool called Totango, and we were given access to it. At first, it was like, hey, there's a new tool, this is going to help us, all of that. And later on, the whole CS team realized, hey, this is more work for us. So
Yeah.
we ended up not updating it, and then it got escalated by the leadership saying that, hey, we are not seeing any insights coming on this tool because the CSM team was not filling in. So that challenge is always going to be there. how do you mitigate that risk is by managing the change in a better way with your team, telling them why these process changes have happened and how it will help them in long term, as well as reviewing the tool or the tech stack on a regular basis and seeing whether the hygiene of the tool is being maintained. Maintaining hygiene is really crucial for any success of any tool out there.
Right. And as you mentioned with Tatango, I have also seen like it usually at my last organization, it took more than a year to actually get the adoption from the customer success team for this customer success platform that we implemented. So even if you implement it, it's always an uphill battle to make sure that the data hygiene is there and people are actually using it. What do you think is going to be that, one key criteria for you for selecting a CSP or a dedicated tool for customer success team? Like what is on top of your list that it should do this, and then only I'll be able to proceed further with my decision.
Yeah, so when I would look at purchasing a CSP, the first thing that I would look at is integrations.
Hmm.
That is something really important for me. Secondly, how strong of a community they have built around their customer base, because having like a success community from a tool perspective is really helpful because they give you some certain ideas that how a particular tool is implemented. So that would be really important for me. And the third would be the capabilities to drive adoption from the platform itself, which means I can have trigger flows for particular customer where there is low adoption, right? So having playbooks and trigger flows that drives adoption in certain cases is something that I would look at definitely when it comes to a CSP.
Got it. I think that's it. I feel like you have answered so many important questions that a lot of people have, and very very insightful conversation I had with you. So thank you so much for spending time with us today, Vipul. It was incredible, and thank you for my listeners as well for joining us for this episode. Um, don't forget to subscribe and see you on the next episode. Thank you again, Vipul, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank